you don't want to see your faces, but when I'm looking straight ahead, I'm serving, okay? Okay, so for starters, for those of you, well, everybody pretty much knows me, but formally, my name is Ashley Marie. I am a vision coach, and basically what that means is I help people figure out what they want to attract, achieve, and be in their lives. We don't take enough time for reflection as individuals and as communities, so you work with me to actually go through that process. I would like for everybody to engage with me in the chat and to unmute themselves periodically. For starters, let's not be rude today. Go ahead and put your name in the chat so that other people know who you are, and potentially put something about what you're hoping to gain from today. And I'm going to open this chat because I want to see what y'all have to say. Yes, we already got one. Okay. All right, so I'll start. For me, what I'm hoping to gain today is helping everybody get some insight on where they are in their journey and where they want to go. So I'm looking for some chats. Yes, Galen, guidance and insight. I got you, girl. I will get that. Everybody else, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat and we will move on. So let's talk about etiquette before we get started, since we'll be spending a little bit, about an hour with each other. For starters, I know that Zoom etiquette says that you need to be on mute, but for my session, I would really appreciate it if you're not on mute unless you absolutely have to be. Meaning if you got a dog in the back, you got a baby, you got a sister-in-law, baby cousin Tracy in the back. If you got that going on, then mute yourself. But if you're by yourself, let's unmute. And then if you have the opportunity or the ability to have your camera on, that will help me to see your face. That will be amazing. If not, do what you got to do. And then the last thing in terms of etiquette tonight is that you're going to get out of this session what you put in. And I promise to be a great guide, and you have to promise to be a great follower for tonight. Are we good? Y'all with me?
Yes.
Some thumbs up and some thank you. Yes.
Oh, I like to talk. Yes.
Yes, you can talk. I love talking. Okay, let's get going. So as far as today, we are going to reflect our way to clarity. What does that mean? When we take the time to really look inward, then we will find clarity of what we want to bring outward. So I'm going to help you all through that journey today. Out of that, we will be in the space to imagine possibilities for our lives. And then out of that, we will have what we need in terms of confidence to move forward. You're going to need a couple things tonight. The first will be a pen or a pencil. The next is going to be paper. And the third is going to be patience with yourself, not with me, because I'm great. I'm kidding. All right. Let's get started, shall we? Let's see. Oh, revisioning, yes. Clarity, yes. Okay, so y'all are here for the stuff that I'm delivering, so that's perfect. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to engage in the activity I like to call acknowledge and breathe. With the pandemic taking place and everything that's happening in the world, there are a couple of things you probably have to acknowledge. And once we bring those things to the forefront, we can address them, we can evaluate them, and then it provides room for some productive thoughts. So I'll go first in terms of something that I feel like I want to bring to the space to address so that I can move forward with you all tonight. Throughout this pandemic, I've had a deep struggle of not placing my worth based on what I'm achieving or what kind of output I'm putting into the world, or what I'm producing. That's been really hard for me as a natural achiever. And so the weeks or the days that I kind of have lower productivity, I feel like super low in my spirit. And then the days where I'm up and hopping and popping, then I feel great. So that's been something that I've been having to work through and acknowledge. And with that, I'm going to breathe. Breathing resets the soul, just in case you were wondering. All right, so this is y'all's turn. Is there something that you want to acknowledge and bring to the forefront so that we can move forward in our time together tonight?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Does it have to be during the pandemic, or can it be
no
anything?
Nope.
when I don't have a creative spirit, like when I don't feel like I can be creative, it makes me feel like my day has been a complete waste. Whereas when I am in a space where I can be creative, whether that be creating things for myself, for other people, that singing, dancing, drawing, painting, that makes me feel like I'm at my best. So during the pandemic, I have not had a lot of creative days, but I am trying not to beat myself up about that, and just really and truly inspire myself every day to continue to be creative, even if it doesn't look like what I think it should.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Take a deep breath. Yes. Thank you, Galen. Okay, let's do like one or two more. You can put it in the chat. We're gonna move on. Okay. So I think this might be something that we all can address or can relate to. So I want to address it because this is probably something that's sitting at the forefront of our souls, and we're gonna need to move past it. So I tried to be funny and say, let's address the elephant in the room. Okay. All right. So has anyone been experiencing vision fatigue? When I think of vision fatigue, I think of you have a lack of motivation to achieve or produce, specifically related to the goals that you may have created earlier in 2020. And now you're kind of finding yourself not really motivated to do that. And this can show up in a couple of ways. One, like comparing yourself to the people that you see who are throughout the pandemic, who are launching businesses and and laid up with they boo and posting pregnancy announcements, and maybe some of the things that you might want for your life. So that vision fatigue can show up like with comparing yourself to others. It can also show up with equating your worth, like I was saying, to how much work you're producing, like Galen was saying, with how much creativity you're producing. It can show up by being super critical or irritable with yourself. And then one of the last ways it can show up is mistaking your need for a break as you being a failure. I do that all the time.
Same.
So kind of tell me how that's showing up, how vision fatigue might be showing up in your life. I don't want to project, but if this does feel true for you, I do want to invite you to the space to share a little bit.
I can share. This is Demetria. I think, Ashley, you just kind of touched on it. It's like, especially during the pandemic specifically, it's like you feel like you're supposed to have all these things done. I'm kind of like a self-motivator. I like to do things and kind of get things going. So this pandemic kind of put me in a standstill. So I'm like, am I not doing something I'm supposed to be doing? So it kind of has me questioning that often, but I had to finally get to a space and just kind of to let me know that it was okay considering everything that was going on in the world.
Mm-hmm. That definitely sounds like vision fatigue to me. And I mean, I think for you and I, we've always identified as high achievers, and you talked about being a self-motivator. And if without that downtime or without the coming and going as usual, it can feel like I'm supposed to fill all this time with productivity. And
right, yeah.
If I don't, then I'm a failure.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm thinking by this time I'm supposed to have a book written and everything. You know, I'm supposed to be on to the next level, something like that. But I was like, no, it's okay. I had to let myself know that is okay.
Mm-hmm. And for those of us that aren't in the space of thinking it's okay, I will invite you to get on the bandwagon with Demetria. It is okay, and when you aren't in a space where you're producing, that is an indicator that you need to rest. One of my great mentors told me that creativity, just like everything else, comes in seasons. And that really changed my life because I pride myself on how much I can be creative. And so it was weird for me when I wasn't creating at the level that I thought I should be. But when she told me that creativity comes in seasons, just like everything else, that was profound for me. So maybe that'll be a nugget for y'all too. All right. Okay, so I cracked myself up with my images. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think one of my main tactics that I want to start with in terms of reworking your vision is helping you to remember who you are. you all have gotten to the place where you are because of your natural strengths, the challenges that you've had, and the successes that you've had. And then outside of that, your very essence of being here is worthy and valuable. And you have everything you need in this moment to produce what it is that you want for the remainder of 2020. So I'm going to help you remember who you are. Everybody has a pen and paper and patience that I mentioned earlier, because you're going to need that now. All right. Okay. So I want you to either use the chat or speak out loud. But I want you to think about a time when you recovered from a major setback. And if that question doesn't resonate with you, thinking about how you've recovered from a major setback. I want you to identify 2 things that made you happy, hopeful, or satisfied with yourself within 2020 so far. And I'm going to put a timer on for 30 seconds because it can be really hard to think of something like that on the spot, okay? All right.
Can you repeat
Absolutely.
the prompt?
Absolutely. Think of a time when you recovered from a major setback, or identify 2 things that made you happy, hopeful, or satisfied with yourself within the last 6 months. And I'm going to do this with you all. I didn't do the pre-work on purpose, so I could be in the moment.
2 things that made you happy,
hopeful, or satisfied with yourself in the past 6 months. Okay.
It's in the chat too if anybody else needs help remembering.
Thank you. Okay, my timer just went off. Anybody ready to share? At least 1 or 2 people.
I'll go
Go ahead.
again. So
Yes.
2 things that have made me happy, hopeful, or satisfied with 2020. Personally, I have committed to a routine, a health routine specifically. And it's just shown me that for me personally, that I love myself to be able to commit to this routine, to be able to commit to this routine. And then my second one would be, I've been patient with my growth instead of saying like, I need to be here by this time. I need to feel this by this time. I need to be healed by this time. I've taken more time with myself and less time with like where society or my friends or, you know, just outside people think that I'm supposed to be. So more patience with myself and just being committed to my growth.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I'll go and then we'll see if somebody else wants to go. A major setback that I experienced in my life, many of you all know me personally. So you all know that I've had a very strong relationship with grief and like just losing really important people in my life. And so more specifically, when my partner passed away 3 years ago, like I just now got to the point like last December where I really could envision a new life for myself. And so that setback was major. It was life shifting for me. And you couldn't have paid me back then to believe that I would make it to a different place. But I just kind of kept existing. And I didn't give up. Like I really didn't have that much energy to put forth towards anything. Like I would go to work and I would go do some poetry because that made me happy, or as close to happy as I could get. And I kind of just, you know, allowed myself to be. And when people asked me if I was okay, I wouldn't lie to them. I would tell them, you know, I'm okay for now, or I'm not doing great today, or I miss my husband because he died. So one of my major setbacks was my grief journey, but I have transformed dramatically. And I'm super grateful for that. And then the other question that I asked for you all to answer was identify 2 things that made you happy, hopeful, or satisfied with yourself. I have read 6 books this year, y'all.
Oh, yes.
You
I
go.
read 6 books, and I like audiobooks. So if you were an audiobook person, that counts in my head. If I can remember the content of the book, then that means I read it. So the latest book I just finished was The Art of Not Giving Up, FUCK. And it's a really good book. I would recommend it. Oh, and another great book I read this year was Tiffany Haddish, The Last Black Unicorn. And the Audible book is amazing because it's all in her voice. And so she's hilarious. Let me see what I got going on in the chat because some people have shared. And then if anybody wants to share, give us one more out loud. That would be great. Oh, past 6 months, friends being able to distress with my girls. Yes, taking photos. Miranda, you take the best photos. And your eyes are beautiful, girl. Okay. 2 things. Yes. Okay. Oh, staying connected with family and friends during this time. Yeah. I love, and reconnecting to yourself. That takes some dedication, girl. Yes, Vanessa. Okay. Pearl. New energy. Pearl, you were like the queen of energy though. So you got new energy? You got new energy? That's beautiful. Okay. All right. Oh, and thank you. Okay. Okay. Let's have one more. Anybody want to share out loud? All right. Let's move on.
I don't mind going. I was gonna
go ahead, Demetria.
I said 2 things for me, and they're just kind of simple. My ability to adjust are 2 things that have I've been able to identify within myself. And then I've just had more time to reflect on becoming more in tune with myself as far as what I want, what I need, or things I don't need as well. And I think that's just as important. So those are 2 things that kind of stood out for me during this time.
You reminded me of a quote that says, when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And so that sounds like that's been really powerful for you.
Oh yes.
I've been trying to practice no as a complete sentence. That's really hard. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, this is one of my favorite quotes, and I think it is very timely in the conversation. Empires are built over time. So if you think about any of the communities that you admire or the places that you've been to out of town or out of the country, those things were built over time. And just like that, your vision is going to take time to come to fruition. And so I just want you all to be mindful of that. Your vision has to manifest over time, and I want to provide a reminder that any investment that you make in yourself is never a waste. It's always like a plant where you put a seed, you planted a seed, you covered it, and you're watering it. So anytime you're investing in yourself, look at that as you watering your vision, watering yourself, and an investment in you is never a waste. So you're going to need this moving forward as we rework our priorities. So one way that I rework my personal vision and what I want to offer to you all is reworking your priorities, starting with what's important to you in terms of what it is that you want to achieve, or what is it that you want to feel, or, etc. And I want you to start by, you can either name your priorities for the next few months if you can be quick with it, or I would like for you to name some priorities for the remainder of July. Feel free to use the autonomy in figuring that out. And I'm gonna put another minute timer on, and then we can take some time to share, okay? Cool. I'm gonna write out my priorities. Remember that priorities are subjective. So something that I might consider a priority doesn't mean that you have to consider it a priority. It really means what's important to you to achieve or be within the month or the coming months. All right, that's our timer. Who wants to go first? And then those of you who don't desire to share out loud, go ahead and put in the chat for me. I'll go first, and then we'll give you all time to go. So I decided to write a couple of priorities for the month of July. The first one is finishing my summer grad school classes. I have 2 of them right now. And then my second priority is I'm working on launching a vision mapping session for educators. Since we all know that education is going to look drastically different this year, I want to provide an opportunity for new educators and seasoned educators to come together virtually and really map out, create like a vision map for what they want their school year to look like. Y'all priorities don't have to be that vast. They can be much different. They can vary in the vastness. I don't even know if that's a word. Okay, let's see. One of my priorities for the next month is enrolling into, oh yes, the RN program, Vanessa. Yep, you shared that. Tell us where you're planning on going to, if you don't mind. And then one of our priorities is study hard for exam in November. Yes, Jessica. Are you going back to school also, Jessica?
I want
Or you're like getting certified in
That's my
something?
hope. My hope is to get accepted into law school.
That's kind of what I knew. Yes. Okay. All right. Did anybody think of a priority that's, it sounds like most of us decided to stay within like the month or 2. Is there anybody who had something that was like the priority was later on in the year? Okay.
One of my priorities for the rest of the month, right?
It could be, you can do either the rest of the month or you could have did one for a couple months out. It's up to you.
I'm gonna say the rest of the month is to limit not my screen time, but my social media activity to like 1 hour, not even 1 hour a day, but like a time block, maybe like 30 minutes out of my entire day. Mm-hmm. Even though a little while ago, even though I tried to follow more people who I felt positive energy from, I just feel like it still just consumes me in a way. Mm-hmm. I haven't, I guess, strengthened my mind to be more elastic to the information that I receive. So with knowing that, I want to limit my time. That's one of my priorities. Detox. I told you I'm going to do a detox. That's another one of my priorities. I'm going to do this 3-day cleanse. So that's going to be a huge priority because it's a commitment. So
a commitment to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It brings it back to that thing, no to something, saying yes to something else. That's beautiful. I don't know if I'll be able to detox and say no to Taco Bell anytime soon, but cheers to you on your detox.
I'm going to do it.
Denisha, we can talk sidebar about this. Your priority balancing grad school and work. It is possible, and I would love to connect with you sidebar on how I've been navigating that, because maybe I'll have some tips for you. All right. And then Amanda, I loved yours. I totally relate. I just want to stop on that piece because Amanda is really talking about, you know, self-care in terms of taking care of your mind. Mm-hmm. And that's essential in this time, but also essential all the time. Mm-hmm. But as she said, addressing, you know, trauma with an open mind, that's not always an easy thing, because sometimes you have to acknowledge how you showed up in a space and how you allowed things or didn't allow things to happen in your life. So kudos to you, Amanda. I'm in therapy every Sunday, and she is changing my life. Okay. Yes, thank you, Amanda. Okay. Are you all how's the energy level with going through and thinking about your priorities? What does that make you feel like right now?
It's a little bit of pressure because you have to think about what's important. Like when you start prioritizing things, like I can think about 10 things that I need to do, but there are probably 3 things that are useful or things that my spirit needs, you know, things that are just well-rounded as far as like my mental, physical, and spiritual health. So I guess thinking about a couple of things, it's prioritizing it is a little overwhelming, but I think it's a great place to start, because if we never visited the place to be able to prioritize, we wouldn't get to the nitty-gritty of what's important and vital to us.
I think what we do is I think you're right, to some degree, there is some sort of pressure to prioritizing, because, you know, we don't take the time to think about what's important. Sometimes we just kind of wander around the world. I know throughout quarantine, I've been kind of finding myself wandering, like, okay, I think I'm gonna go walk right now, or I think I'll just go check the mail, or
yeah,
that sounds on the patio, just not being able to sit still. And so I actually write my priorities. I have a vision wall, but I'm a whole vision coach, so it's okay for me to be extra, and y'all can have a vision wall too if you want. But I have my priorities mapped out in terms of projects, personal development, and then activities. And Autumn is actually going to share with you all afterwards. I came up with like a little a worksheet for you all so that you can map out your priorities for the next couple of months till the end of 2020. So you all will receive that at the end of this session, so that you can take some time to continue working through your vision after we get done.
I'm excited about that. I am super excited about that.
Just a little something I threw together for you, special for y'all. Okay. Let me move my faces so we can move on. Oh, I wanted to also put the disclaimer here. Galen, when you talked about there being some pressure, there is pressure, and I do want to help you all to remember that these are just things that you think you might want to get done, or things that, you know, are important to you, but you are the designer of your life, so you can decide to move a priority if it needs to be moved. So don't feel like if you said something, I have to, like for instance, if Autumn says she has to do this cleanse in July, and you know, something in her life takes precedence and priority over that, and she moves it to August or September or November, that is totally up to you. And again, a pause doesn't mean that you're a failure. The opportunity to pause might mean that you need to rest, or that you need to put something else on the higher priority list. All right, ladies. Oh, okay. I love this quote too. Some may call it an affirmation. This says, "Don't get it perfect, get it going." I would like for my fellow perfectionists to raise their hands. Yeah, I got 1 or 2 of y'all. Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
This is for us, recovering perfectionists. Don't get it perfect. Get it going, especially where we are right now. You're gonna have, like Demetri was talking about earlier, she spoke about flexibility and her learning to be more patient with herself throughout this time. That's exactly what's going to be required if you are going to bring your vision to fruition. If you're going to attract and achieve and be what you have decided that you want in your life, then you're going to have to learn how to get some stuff going and letting it go without it being perfect. And I think one way to do that is to determine the bigger impact. For example, this vision educator session that I want to create, I just got the idea like a couple weeks ago. I'm just now going to be able to start moving on it this week, and people will find out. I want to have the session August 1st. If I worried about having all the content created before I sent out the invitation to other people, the session would never happen. But if I can trust myself to know that as a perfectionist, a recovering perfectionist, and as just a person, I can trust myself, I'm not going to let me down. So if there's something that needs to be done, like creating the content for the presentation that's going to be happening August 1st, I have to remember that I can trust myself to complete it, because I've always delivered when it comes to me. And I imagine you can't point out too many times in your life where you've let yourself down, because just naturally as humans, we're kind of selfish. So we're not gonna let ourselves down usually. We'll let somebody else down before we let ourselves down when it comes to major things. So I would say here, look at the impact of whatever it is that you're creating or you're trying to attract or achieve. Look at the impact that will have on your life and maybe the lives of others. And that might give you the power you need to get something going instead of holding on to it until it's perfect. All right, let me make sure. I look down at my notes real quick. Okay, yes. All right. Okay, I would love for everybody to take a deep breath because we didn't talk through a lot. We've brought a lot to the forefront. We've acknowledged a lot. We evaluated our priorities, and that might be a little stressful. So I would like for us to take 3 deep breaths. I say 3 deep breaths because it reminds your body that you're safe. So you do it in the breathing time that you would like. All right. I feel better already. Okay, dreaming possibilities. I need you to get out maybe a separate piece of paper, or if you have room, we're gonna need a little bit of room for this one. So we're gonna think up possibilities for our lives based on the priorities that we've set for ourselves. If you're a person that likes to think of one thing at a time, just choose one of your priorities that you came up with. But if you're a person that you like to work with a couple of priorities at one time, then go ahead and we're gonna answer one or some of these questions together. So based on the priorities that you created, what can you look forward to? And I know that's a deep question, so we're just gonna take this time to think this through.
What's
I'm gonna
the, can
choose
you say
one.
the question
Yeah,
again, Anne-Marie?
What'd you say?
Can you say the question again?
Yeah, it's the first one on the screen. It's what can you look forward to based on your
Okay.
priorities? And you could choose one priority. It might be easier to choose one and then kind of directly correlate it to something that you can look forward to based on that. So like for Galen, she talked about her wellness journey. Maybe she could come up with something that she could look forward to based on that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so as you think through that, does anybody have like an example or one priority that they want to share along with what they can look forward to based on that? And if that question doesn't resonate, then I want you to think about the second one. What can you still achieve based on that priority? I'll go first too. So I'm launching a coaching business right now. I want to, long term, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to coach individuals through their lives. And so one thing that I can look forward to with my vision mapping session with educators is I can look forward to, connection is super important to me. So I get to talk to people who are educating the babies in our communities and hopefully help them to feel more empowered about their journey walking into the school year, because there are so many feelings attached to walking into the new school year, whether that be virtual or whether that be in person or hybrid. So that's something I can look forward to with my priority for August. And then anybody can chat too if they want to.
Let me see. I don't mind going again.
Go ahead.
Okay. One of my priorities I listed was moving. I really want to move. I currently live in Springfield, Missouri. I really would like to move to the city of Missouri. And we've been here, my husband and I have been here for like 8 years, so it's time. Anyway, off my soapbox. But I'm looking forward to moving because I feel like it's just like a new, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a new vision, a new start. It's a new start. I feel like moving for us would be like a new beginning in some ways, more than others, for both he and myself. So I think moving is that new that we could probably use. Just new scenery.
Something you could look forward to. Yeah, I love that. You could be around your family, your friends.
Exactly.
You have a wider variety for employment.
Exactly. you can.
I didn't realize you still live there.
Yes, ma'am. And I know it's just it's a city. I just really would like to be back around family and different vibes and different
How
energies.
soon do you think that's possible?
Hopefully within the next couple of months.
Okay, I love it.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay,
But we'll see.
okay. Let's see here. Oh, okay. What experiences do you still have access to? So these questions, I cultivated these based on, I figured the people who are going to be attending this session might have been people that created goals for themselves earlier in the year, and maybe they've just been kind of stuck or not sure how to move forward through them, or people that just like around the 6-month mark, if you did create goals earlier in the year, it's usually a good midpoint to adjust and pivot and figure out what it is that you want to keep and what you want to start, stop, or continue. Excuse me. So these 3 guiding questions at the top, I think will help you as you fill out the sheet that I provided for you all that you'll get after this. And then as you just kind of evaluate your goals that you have right now. I would like for all of us to answer this question because I think this is one that is easier but very powerful. Because I don't think we ever consider how we want to feel. We just kind of go through feelings. And when they happen, we identify them, but how often have you identified and said how you want to feel, like kind of predetermine how you want to feel? So I would like for us to answer that question. How do you want to feel throughout the remainder of 2020? And if one word doesn't fit well with you, you can come up with a sentence, you can come up with 3 words. And I'm going to take some time to think about that too. Determined and empowered. Yes.
I want to feel, I don't know, and I'm going to have to explain it because when I say the word, it don't make sense. I want to feel honored. And what I mean by that, not honored by other people, but like honoring myself in my role. I had a very brief conversation with another lady, and we were talking about how, you know, across our lifetime, we forget or we are so ignorant to the fact that we are given roles or we are giving situations, and it's an honor to be able to step foot into that role or in that situation, to be where you're at. It's an honor. So for the rest of 2020, I would like to, I don't think I'm going to feel that way the whole 2020, but I would like to have more moments of just feeling so honored to be where I am, regardless of where that's at. Just really just honoring, wow, this is where I'm at, and this is the beauty in it.
Go ahead, Gail. I love it. I love it. And Autumn hit it right on the nose. This is not something that you're aiming to feel all throughout 2020, because if we could hold on to an emotion, I'm sure we all would. But emotions and feelings are fleeting. And so she said, this is what I want to feel more moments of. And so I want to invite you all to answer it with that lens. Vanessa wants to feel accomplished. I think I would relate to that, Vanessa, and I'll share a little bit more about what that kind of looks like for me this year, and maybe it'll help prompt you all to think more about, you know, what it is that you want to feel. I think for me, I've kind of, since I talked about, you know, me being on a really heavy grief journey, and like now finding myself where I'm like, I can see like the sun or something, whatever visual you need. So before it was cloudy and rainy and tornadoes, okay? And now I can see the sun. And now that I see the sun, I just want to really, I don't know, we don't know when life will happen again. And for me, I don't know when somebody else will die, it's inevitable. But I do want to feel accomplished between now and whenever that happens again. So for me, it's like I have this new vision of being a coach, and I really want to feel accomplished in that. So one of the things that would make me feel accomplished in that area would be if I could, I wanted to grow $500 in coaching. That might sound like a small goal to somebody, but I wanted to start smaller for me. So if I can earn $500 by coaching this year, that will be one way I could feel really accomplished. And then I think of it in terms of taking care of myself. I take depression medicine. And so if I can continue to be committed to myself by taking my medicine, that'll help me to feel accomplished too, because I'm putting myself and my well-being at the forefront so that I can be a solid coach for other people. You know what I mean? Oh, peace and balance. Oh, Keisha, peace and balance. Yes.
Absolutely.
That made me think of yoga. I'm sorry.
It's like, for me, I want to be at peace and in balance just in every aspect, like as far as career and personal life, and as far as like not putting too much pressure on what goals on myself for the goals that I'm trying to reach. So I'm just trying to find a good balance on all of it, trying to be fulfilled and trying to be the person that I want to be, but still contribute, I guess. And I'm going to say contribute because contribute to the person that I want to be, but the person that people that I care about, the person that they expect me to be. So trying to find the balance in all of those things is like kind of what my 2020 goals are all surrounded by.
Yeah. That is a deep one, Akeisha, trying to balance between what other people want me to be that I care about, and then like being who it is that I want to be. Because some of those things might intersect, but then some of those things might really collide.
Right.
And really choosing for yourself. I love that. Thank you for explaining that. Oh, Pearl, ultimate acceptance of self. Girl, yes. Life, others, and everything. Because we really be, I won't speak for other people. I really be feeling like I'm in control of stuff. And then something will happen and I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to go sit down. I'm just going to go sit down because I'm not in control. And then I'm a powder. So when something don't go my way, I got to poke my lip out and I got to pout about it for a second. So ultimate acceptance of self, life, and others, and everything, Pearl, that's beautiful. Okay. This is going to be our final activity as we come to our time here in a moment. I want you to write a note to yourself. And I want this note to be a reminder to yourself when you need to keep going. What is it that you need to hear when you need to keep going? And I'll put a timer on for this one too. Is there anybody that needs more time to write their little note to themselves? Because I don't know.
Okay.
I see a couple pins moving, so I'm gonna wait for a moment. All right, ladies. Okay, perfect. Yes, you can share your answers in the chat if you feel comfortable with that. So I'll read Pearl's, then I'll read mine, and then whoever else wants to share theirs, I offer you the floor after that. Pearl says, I have a mantra for this season, for this session. I love mantras. I am extremely aware. I am very much awake. I am active and alive. It sums up the things I desire to strengthen in the areas of growth. Shout out, Pearl. Thank you for sharing that. Mine says, you are made for this. No one can coach, speak, dream, deliver like you can. It is your duty to keep going. Give the world what you got, Grasshopper.
I have one.
Yes.
This is Demetria again. I guess you already know that. Anyway, mine was short. I read a book earlier, just to preface a little bit. I read a book earlier this. Well, it stuck out to me, and I feel like anything with it's. I had to give myself permission to let go of identity that.
She about to say something good too.
No. I had to give myself permission
I had to give myself permission to
let go, and then of the identity.
It's something good.
Yeah.
It's something good. That's okay.
Demetria,
we're gonna get it back.
Demetria, can you put it in the chat for us, or because you frozen, girlfriend?
Actually, I thought you were frozen too because you were just like looking at the camera, but I was like, I guess she's.
Oh no, I was just like really waiting for it. Okay. Oh, Amanda, her letter says, or her note, you are stronger and more resilient than you realize. I love that. Amanda, you made me think of something that I have on my desktop right now, and it says, your dreams are closer than you think. Because sometimes we really be thinking that what we want is way out there, abstract, floating around around the orbit of the. Okay, I'm trying to get all fancy, and I don't know nothing about space, so let me stop. But sometimes I speak for me. I feel I used to think that my dreams are so far out of reach. And one of my best friends said that your dreams are closer than you think, and I was like, yes, ma'am. Do not forget, Vanessa shares, do not forget what you are capable of and remember who you are. You can do this and more. Keep pushing through. Yes. That makes me think of when we working out. They always say that you can go further than you think you can.
No, I can't.
Not when I'm at a look.
You know,
I was just about to say, like, that's a no for me, dog. That's a no for me.
Too.
With a burn, I'm like, it burns so bad.
But it makes me think of that. P.S. Remember why you made that call. Shout out, Jessica. Remember why you made that call. It's okay, Demetria, the connection issue, but can you go ahead and type what you had to say, or I mean, I would love to hear you vocalize it.
I can read again. It's really quick. Let's
hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay. Again, a quote that kind of gets me going is, I had to give myself permission to let go of an identity that no longer fit. And again, like I said, I think it just resonates with all elements of my life. So, but that's it. That quote.
When it's time to evolve, we be trying to stay in the cocoon. It's like,
that is very true for me. That is so true for me.
Okay.
I have one.
Yes.
So mine just basically says, and it's actually right here because this is my area where I meditate, but I just have to constantly remind myself that it's about making sure that my present realities mirror my long-term goals. And that's what everything. So for me, it's easier in my mind to break it down spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. So in all aspects of my life, I need what I'm exposing myself to, people I'm exposing myself to mirror my long-term goals. And when they don't, I have to establish boundaries to be able to make sure that things don't get in the way. Because, I see it as like, there's something down there that I got to get. So if it's anything that's interfering with me getting down there, it got to go.
Can you show us your meditation area? I'm trying to create a little power spot or meditation area in my house.
I don't know. Can y'all see? Oh, wait.
Oh, yes. And so
Yeah.
you have things that like what bring you joy, give you energy around there.
Yeah, so my
Mm.
sunflowers, my mama, my sage, of course, my elephants. I got a best friend award, and that's where I just kind of write, God goes growing and glowing. That's what's vital to me. So that's my little thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the things that was really hard for me, so I was looking, I'm sorry, Marie, I'm just chatting.
No, go ahead because I'm finishing up. So yeah.
Okay. But that shit just like really made me have these thoughts. So I was looking up something and like to create your like power spot or meditation spot or whatever you want to call it, you're supposed to think about or have things surrounded that gives you joy and energy. And that was like a real obstacle for me because I'm like, I don't think I pay enough attention to myself to realize in those what moments is something giving me joy. And so I had to like really think, and I've only got like 3 things down and they're really minuscule, but they're like super powerful at the same time because regardless of how small it is, like whether if it's a pen or a candle, like that, if you feel a certain way when you're around that or you have that, it means a lot. So I'm glad I seen your little spot
I feel
so
like
I
I
can
need to
keep
do
the
that.
whole moving. You got that though. You have your whole room is a power spot. You different. You different.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
You different.
Okay. All right. So, ladies, I want you to remember that I am here for you. I do personal coaching sessions, so if you feel like you want to go deeper, I am happy to do that with you. I give y'all alumni price. I give y'all a discount. But no, if you're not really into that, but you do want to connect just on the social media platforms, I would love to connect with you all. I have found a new home on Twitter. I kind of really like me some Twitter. I'll be on there tweeting nowadays. So you will get a different version of me. My Facebook and my Instagram are more of a branded version of me. So I am very selective on what I share on there. And I'm not saying that my Twitter is ratchet, but compared to my brand, it's a little bit different. I'm authentic all the way around though. So what you see is what you get. Don't play. No, but long story short, that's my personal cell phone number, my personal email account. So if you all ever want to connect for whatever reason, or if you all work for organizations that you think this might be something helpful to bring in, I am happy to do that with you all. And if you all can do, in terms of us partying right on time, I would love for you to put in the chat like how you're feeling as you leave or one of your takeaways so that I can keep that. I get energy from knowing that I served you all well. No pressure to say that I did a good job. I just want to know what it was that you gained. Yes, that's my favorite thing. Community. Yes, thank you, Demetra. My chat over here so I can look at y'all's faces. Reflective. Yes, and you're welcome. Thank you for joining. And then if you all want to just bow out after your comments, you're more than welcome to, and I will be here as long as you all are here. So Autumn, if there's any words you want to say.
Yep, just a couple tidbits. First, thank everybody for joining us. This is like the second webinar series we've done for the summer webinar series. And it's exciting to see that some alumni are engaged with the content that we're trying to provide. So thank you for joining, and I hope that this was helpful. This is Ashley Marie's sweet spot, so she's all for it. I will be sending out some slides. They may not look exactly like everything that was shown today, but some recap slides of her presentation, as well as the kind of priority worksheet that she has for you all too. So I'll send that out. If not this week, then next week. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions or if you have ideas for other content we can use later on in the year for more webinars, since everything is basically virtual now, please let me know.
I'm overjoyed. So thank you all for joining. This kind of stuff makes me very happy.
I'm happy that y'all decided to do this. It still keeps us, engaged, because sometimes we think that we're supposed to see each other like in person all the time. So just having like this virtual support and the opportunity to be able to even talk about some things that we don't necessarily get to talk about in person, because most of the time we see each other, it's at an event, so we don't get to sit down and be transparent and vulnerable with each other. Pandemic did something right.
Yeah, it did. Everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
It has a purpose.
I love that. I actually really like that, Autumn, because most people say everything happens for a reason. I don't like that.
You hate that. You hate that.
Everything has a purpose, though.
Everything does has a purpose. It does.
I'm gonna have to reuse that. I like that. I like that.
You like that one?
I do.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you all for your time. I hope you all have a great night, and we will see you all at the next alumni webinar.
All righty. Continue to be great.
Y'all.